If my Be Happy parody doesn't break the internet, I'm pretty sure this video will. I battled depression, self-harm, and suicidal attempts over wanting fictional cartoon characters to be in a romantic relationship.
No, seriously, I'm not fucking kidding.
I was a suicidal shipper, or more accurately, I was a suicidal Pokeshipper. Can we acknowledge the fact that I am totally ruining my life? I have been out of college for 4 years now, struggling to make a career out of my art degree. If admitting my deepest, darkest secret to the internet and getting cyberbullied to the point I'm famously known as the girl who tried to take her life over a Japanese anime is the only choice I have of making it as an artist, then fuck it. Just fuck it. I have been ashamed of this my whole life, and I don't want to be ashamed of it anymore. And since you guys are probably going to do this to me anyway, I have created the ultimate meme of me. Go ahead and spam this all over 4chan to your heart content, because you know what? I don't give a fuck anymore. Life is too short not to follow your dreams, so I'm gonna just do me. Oh, and if following my dreams makes me a special snowflake, then you know what? Not only will I be queen of the trolls, but I'll be queen of the motherfucking snowflakes too. Because life is too short not to follow your dreams. And basically this snowflake bullshit, I swear it was just invented as an excuse to hate on people who want to be E-famous and follow their dreams. Like, seriously, I see you taking down YouTubers I look up to who are just doing their thing and doing their thing well. And it's like, it's just an excuse to hate on them. That's all it is. So if you're actually going to create a thread about me on Pretty Ugly Little Liars, I want my first name to be Suicidal Shipper. And for my second name, don't say Fairy K Heaven. Don't say Pasta Kai Barbie. Say Queen of the motherfucking Snowflakes. I triple dog dare you. I'm gonna be the greatest snowflake like no one ever was. Basically, you can't win with the haters. If you want to follow your dreams that requires you to be E-famous, you're a special snowflake. You want to go public about an issue that's really personal and no one really talks about because it's really taboo. Like, for example, me going public about the fact that I'm a suicidal Pokeshipper. You're a special snowflake. Like, you can't win, like, no matter what you do. So, you know what? If the special snowflake's what I am, then I'm just gonna freaking own it. Because I'm not gonna let haters stop me from what I want to do for a living. Because life is too short to give a fuck what everybody thinks of you. So back to the point of this video. As you can see, I'm not dressed up. This is my real hair. I have no circle lenses or fake eyelashes or crazy outfit. This is me. This is the real me, the nerdy me. And what I'm admitting in this video is something very personal, something that I didn't want to hide behind a wig or makeup. I wanted just to be my real self because I don't want to be ashamed of what I'm talking about anymore. I've been planning on making this video for a very, very long time. Even before Serena was a character on Pokemon, I had plans to make this video. So, a big trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about depression and suicide in this video. If you are a Amore shipper, please don't be alarmed. This video is not about bashing Amore shipping or hating on Serena. Actually, I'm going to be doing quite the opposite. I'm going to be praising Amore shipping and saying that it should go ahead and become canon. So, watch the whole video before you leave any mean comments. On the 28th of October 2016, the day after Ash and Serena's kiss scene, I tried to kill myself. And the kiss scene was one of the reasons why I tried to kill myself. I have a long history of depression, self-harm, and suicidal attempts over wanting Ash and Misty to be in a romantic relationship. So this may be shocking to some of you, but for those of you who have been part of some pretty hardcore fandoms that have resulted in massive shipping wars, cyberbullying, and rumored suicidal attempts, this actually might not be shocking to you whatsoever. I have heard stories of other people kind of like me. Like, I've heard about the Harry Potter fan who killed himself because he got spoilers for the book before he was able to read it. I've heard of a Naruto fan who killed himself because one of his favorite characters on Naruto got killed off. I've even heard of a football fan who killed himself because his favorite team did not win a game. But to be totally honest, I feel like a lot of these people must have also been struggling with mental illness. And mental illness is something you can't control. It's something you're born with. And to be totally honest with you guys, the title of this video is slight clickbait. The week of the kiss scene between Serena and Ash, I was already feeling suicidal over other things that were going on in my life. I have bipolar disorder, and that very week, I was on a very low dosage of an antipsychotic, which is meant to treat bipolar. And I was going like this the whole week. I was really bipolar that week. So you can't really blame something like a TV show on a suicide attempt, because that person honestly probably was struggling with something, and it's more their issue than the actual TV show. But this is a topic I really want to spread awareness about, because one of the factors that was making me suicidal was the fact that I was ashamed of having a strong emotional investment in fictional characters. The reason why I call myself the proud suicidal shipper isn't because I'm proud of being suicidal. It's because I don't want to be ashamed of having a strong emotional investment in fictional characters. So in this video, I kind of want to go into my life story, but I don't want to go deep into my life story because I'm debating doing a Draw My Life. But I really need to go into my life story to kind of explain how I became a suicidal shipper. And before I can start my life story, I need to break down some terms to help you understand the shipping concept, because a lot of people don't know the language of shipping. The term shipping came from the word relationship, and it is the act of supporting a relationship between two characters, whether it be romantic or just a friendship. But most cases, it's romantic. For most couples, a name is created to represent their relationship. Like, for example, Jelena is the shipping name for Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. Now, in Pokemon, they're quite interesting because they keep the word shipping and the shipping name. For example, Pokeshipping is the name of Ash and Misty's relationship. Rocket shipping is Jesse and James from Team Rocket. And Amora shipping was chosen because Amora is French for love, and the Kalos region, the region that Serena is from, is based off of France. So moments that seem to suggest that the two characters like each other, we call these moments hints. For example, Team Rocket teasing Ash and Misty about liking each other and then blushing over it is what we call a Pokeshipping hint. The words canon and fanon are often used in the shipping world. And canon basically means it's official. It means the couple is dating. And fanon means unofficial, but the fans want it to be official. A good example of what canon and fanon is how in Harry Potter, Ron and Hermione are canon because they get married, and Harry and Hermione is fanon because the fans really wanted it to happen, but it never actually became official. So on to my life story. So in 1999, we moved to a new place, and I literally had to start middle school with no friends whatsoever, which was very, very hard for me. The first day of school, I had dreams of making friends with people, but I realized that I didn't have a lot in common with a lot of the people at my school. A lot of them were watching TV shows like Seven Heaven and Friends, and those were TV shows I wasn't allowed to watch, and also they weren't my favorite TV shows. I was watching Powerpuff Girls, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, and if you admitted to liking those TV shows, you would automatically be bullied. And so I stopped talking, I stopped socializing. It was kind of pointless. I had this one girl become my friend, but then behind my back, she said a lot of mean things about me, so I gave up on having a social life, and my imagination became everything to me. My imagination world was basically escapism for me. It was my escape from reality into a world where I felt safe and happy, because my real world was nowhere near like that. Another reason why I think I fell so hard in love with Pokeshipping is during that time, I was basically going through puberty, and my feelings, my emotions were like intensified. I remember having a dream in 2000 where I swear in this dream, this magical dream, I was in a state of ecstasy. I was the happiest I have ever felt my entire life. I remember when I would listen to the radio and hear Eurodance, and every time I heard a Eurodance song, I would get these ice cold chills down my back of excitement for just hearing a song I really liked. And it's funny, because in the beginning, it was my love for Pokeshipping was all innocent. I didn't have any plans to kill myself over it in the beginning. I saw it as getting joy from something that's simple, something that's just an everyday thing that most people take for granted. Because like what happens on a TV show, most people don't make a big deal out of it, but the fact that I was getting so many happy emotions for it, I saw that as a blessing, not a curse. And what's funny is that in the year 2000, that was the year I was being bullied at school the most, but yet it was one of the happiest years of my life. Like, I remember sitting in homeroom class with this boy that sat behind me who would literally kick my chair, and I would sit there with a smile on my face, so happy, thinking nothing in his pathetic life will ever make him feel as happy as the way Pokeshipping is making me feel right now. Because it was like right after I had seen the Pokemon movie 2000. Pokeshipping was one of the first things to make me cry tears of joy for the first time. And when you cry because you're happy, it's one of the best feelings you'll ever experience. It's something you will never forget. I remember after watching the Misty Meets Her Match episode, in that episode, a character says that someday Ash and Misty will end up together. I remember hearing that line and feeling like it was foreshadowing that Ash and Misty would end up together. So I cried for like an hour, like as if Pokeshipping had already become canon. Little did I know that in the Japanese version of this episode, that someday line was not said by the character. Also, another thing I think that made me fall in love with Pokeshipping so much that I think a lot of Pokeshippers will be able to agree with me with is the nostalgia. It was back before 9/11 happened. It was back before the music on the radio drastically changed, like from 2000 to 2001. So there's a huge nostalgia that like Pokeshipping was a part of that makes it so important to me. So when Pokeshipping ended up being this huge letdown, it was like going through withdrawal from a drug. It was all the happiness, all that good feeling ended up turning into a depression for me. So I first started going through depression over Pokeshipping after the first Johto saga aired in 2001. And the summertime, they were only showing reruns of Pokemon. So that gave me time to think and wonder, why has the idea that Ash and Misty like each other not been mentioned in a single episode of the first Johto series? Turns out the reason why was revealed in a blog post by a writer that used to write for the Pokemon anime named Shudo Takashi. Shudo talked about how he hated the idea of Misty having romantic feelings for Ash because it made her an ordinary girl stereotype, always falling in love with the main lead character. And he wanted to make Misty's character stand out on its own without Ash. And so in the Johto series, he started to stop hinting at the idea that Misty or Ash liked each other and tried to build up Misty as a character as the water Pokemon trainer that she is. Shudo was also against the idea of there being romance on Pokemon. He said adding romance to Pokemon was like adding too many spices to cooking, and it would make the flavor of the cooking all messed up and complicated. And obviously they've changed their idea on romance on Pokemon when Serena came about, but in the beginning it was mostly aimed for kids, and romance is more of an adult thing. Back to my depression. My depression got so bad during the summer 2001 that when I started school up again in the fall, I broke down and cried in class over my depression, which sent me to the counselor's office, where I met this counselor who I was too ashamed to tell her what I was really going through, because I knew if I told her, she would just be like, oh, it's a stupid TV show, just get over it. So I was too ashamed to tell her the truth about what I was going through. But she made me watch a series of different videos over the course of the semester. And some of these videos were about kids with disabilities. Some of them were about bullying or sexual harassment. But in early 2002, I watched a video, a suicide prevention video, for the first time. And after watching that video, I asked myself two serious questions. One, is this constant sadness that I've been going through called depression? And also, if Ash and Misty don't end up together in the end, would I be so heartbroken over it that I would want to kill myself over it? So before the end of the year, when I was 13 years old, I came up with a plan to kill myself if Ash and Misty did not end up together on the Pokemon anime. So this was before Misty had even left the show and been replaced by other female characters. This was before I knew what the term shipping was and that other people were just as obsessed with fictional characters' love lives as I was. And this was also before I knew that Japan, the country that was creating this show that was making me feel suicidal, was a country that deals with high suicide rates. I had a plan to kill myself over Pokeshipping. I mentioned the Japan thing because a lot of you might think that the suicide rates in Japan might have been an inspiration for me to feel suicidal over these characters, but honest to God, I had no clue suicide rates were high in Japan. I honestly wanted to kill myself over it because I literally loved the characters Ash and Misty that much, and I felt like I would never be happy, or they would never be happy if they were ended up together. Another reason why I wanted to kill myself over it is I wanted to make the statement that little things like this do matter. And the more you would tell me, oh, it's not worth it, the more that would inspire me to want to kill myself over it. So in 2005, that's when I discovered the term shipping. And the thing that shocked me the most is the fact that there were people that would go online every single day to talk about Pokeshipping. For the longest time, I thought I was the only one that could be that obsessed with fictional characters' love lives. And it was shocking to me. It was absolutely shocking. I started to read about all the shipping wars that had happened before I had gotten on the internet, and how so many threads had to be closed down because they got way out of hand with people threatening to kill each other and stuff. It was ridiculous. And I remember reading a quote in the Pokeshipping thread. I remember reading someone saying, Pokeshipping is like a religion to us. And another person was like, yeah, that's why people are so scared of us. So I was like, wow, I'm not the only one that's this hardcore about it. I had a deep longing to go on the internet and talk to these people. And what finally gave me the courage to go online is a topic that was started saying, who do you think the greatest Pokeshipper of all time is? Well, someone responded to that saying, I think the greatest Pokeshipper of all time would have killed him or herself already, just waiting for Ash and Misty to get together. And when I read that, I instantly thought it was destiny telling me to go online and talk to these people. So the first post I ever posted on the internet was me telling a bunch of strangers that I had a plan to kill myself if the characters Ash and Misty didn't end up together. And I was so nervous because I hadn't even told my parents. I haven't even told anyone my secret. But here I was telling a bunch of complete strangers my deepest, darkest secret. And luckily, everyone was really nice. And I made a couple friends that I'm still friends with today. I had one friend tell me, please don't kill yourself over it, but she was like, I also understand what it's like to go through depression over it because I also have gone through depression over it. So it really helped me be more confident in who I am by going public about it on this forum. So that summer in 2005, I was really hoping Misty would return as a main character on Pokemon, but sadly she only came back for a few episodes. And Celebi, the head of Celebi, said that this pretty much confirms that Misty has become like a Tracy character. And I hated that he phrased it like that because it made me feel like Misty had more of a chance ending up with Tracy than she did with Ash. And for the first time in my life, I remember feeling suicidal. Now, I didn't act on my suicidal thoughts, but I did go to Google and search feeling suicidal. And I came across this article online called, If You're Feeling Suicidal, Read This First. And I'm really happy, and I have to say to whoever created that page, I have to thank you, because one thing that is said on that page is very important. And one of the things it says is that never accept it if people tell you that it's not good enough to feel suicidal over. What is unbearable to one person isn't the same for another person. And this really helped me because for a long time I felt like I was crazy having such a strong emotional attachment to fictional characters. And reading this gave me comfort and gave me a reason to not kill myself that time. So, big trigger warning, I'm about to talk about my first suicidal attempt. My first suicidal attempt happened on a night where I was trying to get online to talk to my Pokeshipper friends because I was having a meltdown about Pokeshipping. But it was a school night and my parents did not want me staying up or getting on the computer. And I got very emotional over it that I threatened to kill myself if they didn't let me onto the internet. And that's when they sat me down. They kept asking, why do you keep threatening to kill yourself? We're actually really worried about you. So I flat out told them that I had been dealing with depression over wanting the fictional characters Ash and Misty to be together, which they didn't take me seriously at all. They kept asking me, "What's really wrong, Rachel?" So I bring out artwork and anything I could to convince them that, yeah, I've been struggling with this for a long time. And that's when they said the one phrase that is the most triggering phrase I have ever heard, and it's still a triggering phrase to this day. If you say this phrase to me, I will automatically think you are a troll and you will have no respect from me. And the phrase was, "But it's just a stupid TV show." That's when I ran to the bathroom, grabbed the hairdryer, turned on the water, plugged in the hairdryer, and threatened to put the hairdryer under the water to kill myself. Because I was like, until they took the words back of what they said to me. My dad actually pushed me out of the way of the water, and I didn't end up dying or killing myself or attempting at all. But still, to this day, I consider it my first suicidal attempt. Not long after that, I started doing therapy and I started taking medication, which started to help me. In the year 2006, that's the year I discovered that suicide rates were high in Japan. And when I found that out, I was shocked about it. The whole time that I was dealing with these thoughts, this country that was creating this show were also dealing with it too. And it made me feel compassion and wanting to go public about my story to help people not commit suicide. And that's when I came up with the idea for my anime called My Selfish Sacrifice, which is a title I came up with because in the history of Japan, suicide was viewed as an unselfish sacrifice. You did it to honor your country, to honor your family. But as time went by, it turned into more of a selfish thing where people are doing it for selfish reasons. And that's why I came up with the phrase, "My Selfish Sacrifice." In 2010, I got my hopes up that Misty would return at the end of the Diamond and Pearl series, which she didn't. And that made me jump to the conclusion that I was never going to see Misty ever again, which caused me to go into a 3-month major depression episode where I tried to take my life 3 times. During this 3-month major depression episode, I had a weird habit of watching Tyra Bank episodes. And while the happier episodes would cheer me up, majority of the Tyra Bank episodes were about interviewing someone who had an issue or a problem. Like one person was like tanning themselves too much and tanning beds and stuff. So I kept picturing myself going on Tyra Banks and how I would be the crazy girl who's too emotionally invested in fictional characters, and how the whole episode would be about how much of a freak I am and how wrong I am for having such strong feelings for that. And it made me want to kill myself even more. So I'm going to just say this right now. Dr. Phil, or My Strange Addiction, don't even think of contacting me because I will turn you down. Being viewed as a freak is one of the reasons why I am so insecure in the first place. So please do not contact me. But I was able to overcome my depression over wanting to follow my dreams to create my anime based on my life story. It was actually in this year that I started to come up with the idea for the Be Happy parody, and started to get into Fairy K and started to build up my image and wanting to follow my dreams as a performer. So in the year 2013, I thought I had moved on from Pokeshipping until the character Serena was introduced, and I was very unhappy of the idea of Ash having a new love interest. You see, in the beginning, I hated Serena. At first, I saw her as this Japanese waifu stereotype, ordinary girl, everything that I wanted to hate her as a character. But then I started to notice some similarities between me and Serena. Like, one, she's into fashion, which I was already running a fashion blog at the time, and she actually has really good taste in fashion. The 2 things that she keeps in her outfits that I like the most are her thigh-high stockings and her Peter Pan collar. Another thing that I noticed that's similar between me and Serena is that we both want to perform. I already had the idea for the Be Happy and the Shippers parody before I even knew who Serena was. So, like, we have that in common. And then 2 major things that we have in common is that before I started shipping Ash and Misty, I acknowledged the fact that I had a crush on Ash Ketchum. So, like, I understand her feelings for Ash because, one, I had them before. Another thing is that I had a similar experience to what she had with Ash. You know, in the flashback when they were kids, she falls into his arms and hugs him. Well, there was one time, and this actually happened earlier in the year 2013, before I knew who Serena was. I went to a con, and this guy comes up to me and says, "You look like you need a hug," and hugs me and walks away. And I remember this because the guy that hugged me was actually really attractive. He was really cute. And I always felt like if we ever met again, that it would be destiny, and I would try to make him my boyfriend. Just like how Serena is doing the same thing with Ash. So I feel like I'm a hypocrite to judge Serena, because if I ever pursue this guy that I met randomly, I would definitely be copying what Serena is doing. But the number one thing that I was like, okay, I cannot judge Amore shipping anymore, is that, you know that cute pouty face that Serena makes when she's upset at Ash? Well, I have literally taken selfies of myself, sent it to guys I've liked, and said, this is how I feel when I'm not talking to you. And what's so hilarious is I did this once at a convention with a guy, and when I was walking back to my hotel room, I ran into no other than Ash and Serena cosplayers. So I was like, this can't be real. So I had to stop them and take their picture, because I was like, this is like destiny telling me how much of a hypocrite I am. And I also want to talk about how the character development between Ash and Serena was beautifully written. Very beautifully written. Like, the X and Y series is one of the best series I've watched of Pokemon, and that's coming from a longtime fan of Pokemon. And one moment between Ash and Misty and Serena and Ash that I want to compare it is this one and this one. Starting with the Pokeshipping one, in this moment, Ash has reached Azalea Town, and he has this mission to take the GS ball and give it to Professor Kurt. But the first thing he wants to do when he gets to Azalea Town is battle the gym leader. And Misty gets mad at him and says, no, taking the GS ball to Professor Kurt is way more important than your gym battle. But Ash is like, no, it can wait. My gym battle is way more important. Because, you know, Ash has been that selfish, go get him, become a Pokemon master personality. But in this scene with Ash and Serena, Serena is upset because she has just found out her next tournament is out of the way of Ash's next gym battle. But Ash puts his hand on Serena's shoulder and says, don't worry, we can do your thing first. My gym battle can wait. This is huge character development for Ash. Huge. Because of Serena, Ash is actually thinking about other people. Like, he's becoming a better person because of Serena. And this is just incredible, because one thing that YouTuber Kelly Eden once said, comparing Digimon and Pokemon, is that Digimon has a lot more character development than Pokemon. And I agree, Digimon does have a lot more character development than Pokemon. But I feel like there's still character development in Pokemon, it just happens on a slower pace than compared to Digimon. So I had this prediction that Ash would win the Kalos League, and the end of Pokemon would happen where Ash and Serena would get married in the future. That was my prediction for the end of the Kalos series. But of course, then came Sun and Moon, and at first I was really shocked that they were going to write off Serena again, another female character that just left. And I thought I had nothing to worry about. I thought at this point, like, yeah, like, Moreship is going to become canon now. So, once again, another trigger warning, talking about the actual events that happened that led up to my suicide back in 2016. The weekend before, I was already feeling really depressed. I had alcohol, and that's actually the last time I've had alcohol, because alcohol does not agree with me. It makes me really nauseous and really depressed. I had some alcohol with friends. I ended up staying over at someone's house because I didn't want to drive after drinking alcohol. And I withdrawed while my friends were partying downstairs and everything. I withdrawed to the upstairs room to go to bed early, and I gave in to my depression. I just gave in to everything that was bothering me at the time. Then the very next day after that, I got ridiculously happy. Like, really ridiculously happy. I was like flying, my brain was fast. Keep in mind, I was on a very low dosage of an antipsychotic this week. And the reason why I was on a low dosage, I have forever been trying to get off a drug called Zyprexa, because Zyprexa causes weight gain. It makes you want to eat a lot of food. And I've always felt this pressure to be skinny. and I was going off of Zyprexa, but I was also having really bad withdrawal symptoms. I was having constant nausea, and I felt sick all the time, so I decided to go back on Zyprexa, but I didn't want to go back on a full dosage of it. I wanted only like 5 milligrams, but that's not enough to treat bipolar. So the next day I was really happy. I was really on top, manic as fuck. I relapsed and did something I wasn't supposed to do anymore. And I felt good in the moment, but then I felt really bad about it a couple days later. And the day before the kiss scene between Ash and Serena, I was thinking about killing myself over the fact that I relapsed and did something this actually had nothing to do with the Pokemon anime whatsoever. I had other issues, other things that were going on in my life. Well, the day of the kiss scene, I actually went to see my doctor that day. And when I saw him, I immediately told him I need an antipsychotic. I need a higher dosage or another antipsychotic. And when you get a prescription, you can't fill it right away. You have to wait for the medicine to come in, because I was actually going to try a new antipsychotic, not the same one I was on, because of the weight gain of that one. And so I made the right decision by telling him the truth and, waiting on that prescription. But I get home after that long day, and I get on Facebook, and there it was in my Facebook feed, Ash and Serena kissing. When I first saw it, I had a mix of emotions. A part of me wanted to create this video already and put it out there, but then a lot of me was like, no, the more shippers are going to hate you, they're going to cyberbully you, and I was going back and forth, and I was also contemplating suicide. I was contemplating overdosing that night, which I ended up talking myself out of, because basically I started writing out my life story, everything that I was going through, to post on the internet as my suicide note. And I was writing my life story out, and then I get to this specific part of my life story where, basically, just to give you an idea how psychotic and crazy I am, there was an event that happened in 2015 where I met a guy that I had been talking to on the internet. And I basically told this random stranger guy that I just met for the first time that I didn't care about Pokemon anymore. And the reason why I didn't care about Pokemon anymore is because I was in love with him. And when I got to that moment, writing out my suicide note, I realized I couldn't go through with it. That I still wanted to live. And so I talked myself out of it. I remember watching KG Prestige, the YouTuber who does a lot of more shipping videos, his reaction to the kiss scene. And it made me happy for some reason, seeing him overjoyed about the kiss scene, because I know I would have felt that way if Ash and Misty kissed. And then I went to bed. But the next day, other things started to happen, and I got emotional again and started thinking about suicide again. And I actually attempted. I went to the bathroom and tried to do the same thing I did with my first suicide attempt with a hairdryer. I failed, and when I stopped, I decided to cut myself, and I started cutting myself really deep. But then I heard my phone go off. I had actually posted some things on the internet before I attempted, suggesting that I might be killing myself, kind of as my goodbye. And the text message I got was from that same guy, the same guy that I told I was in love with because I didn't care about poke shipping anymore. That guy, he had responded saying, "Are you okay?" And because he was concerned for me, I decided to stop everything I was doing and seek help. So I was hospitalized, and I'll probably do a video about my hospitalization in another video, because a lot of crazy shit happened to me when I was in the hospital. But I got out and I did partial hospitalization therapy. And it really helped me, and it really cleared my mind and gave me some tools about handling my depression and everything I've gone through. And I decided that I wanted to follow my dreams and create the Be Happy parody and focus on helping other people with mental illness. I also went back on Zyprexa because I realized it was better to be fat than to be suicidal. And Zyprexa is the only drug that has really helped my bipolar. So I decided to make that decision. Before I was hospitalized, I made a post on Tumblr saying, "I'm too emotionally invested in fictional characters, and I want to kill myself because I think I'm the only one. But am I?" I posted this, and 4 people responded, 2 to the actual post, and 2 personally messaged me on Tumblr, of people telling me that they could relate to what I'm going through. One of those people was an Amore shipper. I kid you not. I don't have proof of it because the comment is now gone. I think the person who made the comment, their account got deleted or something. But Amore shipper, someone with the title Amore shipping and their username commented saying that they also get so emotional about characters that it ruins their life. And that was really eye-opening to see that even a Amore shipper understands what I'm going through. And how Amore shippers are not bad people. They're just like me. They just want characters to be in love. I made the decision to stay quiet and not go public about the fact that I attempted suicide because I didn't want to ruin the moment for Amore shippers. Amore shippers had every right to enjoy that kiss scene without knowing anything bad happened because of it. Because in the end, it doesn't matter what one person thinks. The show has the right to make Ash end up with any girl they want. And if we don't like it, it's not their problem, it's our problem. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but in my opinion, Amore shippers are nowhere near as bad as Pokeshippers. In fact, Pokeshippers have been so bad that I feel like we deserved to see Ash get kissed by another girl. You will not believe how many flame wars were started, especially in the early 2000s. I mean, Pokeshipping has its own page on Encyclopedia Dramatica. That's how bad they were. That on Encyclopedia Dramatica, there is a page devoted to Pokeshipping. And now there's one devoted to Amore shipping, but it's mostly arguing that Amore shippers are pedophiles because Ash and Misty are Ash and Serena are like 10 years old. And honestly, I'll defend the Amore shippers because, like, in my personal experience, I was 11 years old when I started shipping Ash and Misty. So, like, I was underage when I wanted them together. So to call me a pedophile because I still want Ash and Misty to be together is so wrong because honestly, I never pictured them doing anything like that when I started shipping them. So I don't see how it's pedophilia. Pokeshippers are pretty bad. I mean, like, we're more hardcore than Amore shippers in my opinion. And one Pokeshipper I want to call out right now is Misty for Aloha. This Tumblr user, I swear, is the reason why I'm ashamed to call myself a Pokeshipper. You would literally tag anti-Amore shipping post with Amore shipping so the Amore shippers would see it. There was one time you were bragging about how many followers you had and you tagged Amore shipping so the Amore shippers could see it. Honestly, you have the right to hate on Amore shipping, but only tag it anti-Amore shipping. Don't tag it Amore shipping because that's not fair because that's literally bashing other people's ship where they can see it. And that's not cool. That's not cool at all. And another thing I'm going to get a lot of hate for is that I think Amore shipping should go ahead and become canon. I mean, they've already made such a big deal out of it. Like, seriously, that if they don't go all the way with it now, it's like everything was one big lie. And this upsets me because it reminds me of what they did to Pokeshipping. Now, granted, they didn't push Pokeshipping nowhere near as much as they did Amore shipping. And just to be a little off topic right now, I'm going to break down this myth. There's a popular myth that Pokeshipping is dub added, that it's all the Americans doing, and in the Japanese version of the Pokemon episodes, there are no moments that suggest that Ash and Misty like each other, that all the American people who worked with Pokemon put in all the moments that show that Ash and Misty like each other. That is false. That is totally, completely a myth. Misty and Serena are the only two traveling companions that Ash has felt attraction to. I know this to be true because there's an episode where Ash is teasing Misty saying, "Make yourself cuter," suggesting that he already thinks she's cute to some degree. And also there was a huge debate that the scene where Ash sees Misty in a kimono for the first time and there's that sparkly background behind her, that scene is not how Ash is viewing her, it's how the audience is viewing her. Because, like, with other female characters who have dressed up, they have a different background, but it's not how Ash is viewing them, it's how the audience is viewing them. Well, in the Japanese version of this episode, we get proof that this sparkly background is exactly how Ash is seeing Misty. Because in the Japanese version of this episode, Misty says to Ash in Japanese, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting weird?" Because apparently Ash was so zoned out looking at Misty that he drifted away from reality, and that Misty had to literally snap him back into reality because he was staring at her and going to another world looking at her. I did a series of videos back in 2008 where I translated all the Pokeshipping hints for people to see what was said in the original Japanese episodes. I called it my Pokeshipping commentaries. You might remember me because I went by the name Melody. That was my name that I was known for on Celebi and on DeviantArt. I'm definitely going to be recreating those videos so people can also see, because I used to have a website that had all the translations on them, but that website has now been taken down because the site that I made it with is no more. But I will be remaking those translation videos so you guys can see what was said in the Japanese version. So yeah, Pokeshipping is not dub added. There's definitely moments in the Japanese version that suggested that the creators wanted them together originally. But once again, Amore shipping was so much more pushed and so much more in your face and like making it canon, and I feel like if they're going to make it that big of a deal out of it, they should just go ahead and make it canon. The reason why this doesn't bother me, the idea of Ash ending up with someone else, is that at this point, you know, I'm over Ash and Misty. I will always still love it, but as a fantasy. I don't need it to be a reality to enjoy it anymore. I appreciate it for what it is instead of what it isn't. And it's just something when growing up and maturing has made me realize. I was really happy to see Misty and Brock again in the Sun and Moon series. It was like right around my birthday I found out that Misty was returning, and it was like a late birthday present. But I wasn't expecting anything romantic to really happen between Ash and Misty after everything they did with Amore shipping. But it was nice to see Misty tease Ash again the way she used to in the original series. But I don't want the moral of the story to be that you should never get this emotionally invested in fictional characters. Like, I know a lot of people are going to want me to do it that way, but like, I don't regret shipping Ash and Misty. And what's even crazier is that even though I went through all the pain and heartache and stuff, I'm actually thankful that I went through it all. Like, I feel like it was meant to happen that way, because if Ash and Misty did end up together, let's say we go back to Johto and they decide to continue the love plot between Ash and Misty in the Johto saga, I feel like that would have been too easy. The fact that I had to go through the pain made Pokeshipping more important to me. It made it more special to me. And like, I think that it was meant to happen like that. And I don't regret shipping Ash and Misty as hard as I did. I don't regret going through the pain. I don't, because it's made me into the person I am today. And now it's something I can talk about and spread awareness about and help other people with. I know the biggest criticism that I will receive about being the proud suicidal shipper is that I'm giving in to materialism. Materialism is giving in to buying things, enjoying things, stuff like that, and to the point that it can almost take over your life. Well, in my opinion, Ash and Misty are not really a product, in my opinion. They're more like an art form created by real people. And appreciating that, I don't see any problems with that. As long as you're not hurting anyone or hurting yourself, there shouldn't be a problem with it. I've always seen it as a form of escapism, and escapism has done many wonderful things for people. If you haven't heard how anime came about in Japan, after World War II, an artist/author named Osamu Tezuka, he created cartoon strips that he sold for really cheap so the poor could buy them. And the poor would read it, and it would brighten their day and help them escape from the economic depression they were going through. And this helped encourage Japanese people to keep pushing forward even though times were rough. And it's actually part of the reason why they were able to overcome their economic depression. Of course, too much escapism can be bad and ruin your life. For example, the Me 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 video, viral video, addresses how otaku culture and how Japanese men get so caught up in the video games and the anime girls that they forget about reality. And that can be a huge problem. But in my opinion, it's healthy to have some escapism in your life. A healthy amount of it is actually really good for you. One of the reasons why they make everything so cute and kawaii in Japan is because it's a stress reliever. The economy in Japan is very stressful for a lot of people, so making little everyday things cute, helps them get through the day and do their best at work. And that's an example of escapism where it really helps people. I was born with a very overreactive imagination, And it's always something that's been a part of me all through my life. And it's something I don't want to be ashamed of anymore. It's something that helps me creatively and helps me create things. And like I said, I think I was meant to go through all the pain and all the heartache so I could help other people. My ikigai, which is Japanese for your reason for living, used to be to see Ash and Misty kiss. But now I have a new ikigai, and that is to protest against suicide all around the world, and especially in Japan since suicide rates are very high in Japan. One of my dreams is to travel and go places and help volunteer and help stop. I would love to go to the suicide forest and patrol it and stop people from entering it and killing themselves. Of course, I'm going to have to learn Japanese in order to do that. So learning Japanese is something I've started working on, but I haven't finished or completed yet. It's one of the big things on my bucket list of things to do. One of my dreams is that I want to travel and perform the Be Happy parody and the Shippers parody at anime conventions. Another reason why I want to travel is because I want to meet other suicidal shippers like me, because I feel like it's a rare thing. And if I really want to meet other people who relate to what I'm going through, I'm going to have to travel. And I also want to share the message that you're never alone. No matter how crazy you think you are, you're never alone. Trust me. Every generation brings a new group of people who are dealing with things that you never knew people dealt with. And it's amazing for the internet to be here to show that you're not alone, that there are other people out there who understand what you're going through. YouTuber Daniel Howell created a video addressing the internet and fandoms, and he brings up the idea of fandom rehab, which is a place where people who get really emotionally invested in their fandoms to go and get help with it. And if I have to be the first to fund such a thing as fandom rehab, I fucking will. Because it may be shocking now, but I feel like in the future, fandom rehab will exist. Because in the future, I feel like this won't be as a taboo subject anymore. Even if I chose not to make this video, I feel like eventually over time, the concept of a suicidal shipper would eventually be discussed. I have to say, I have a lot of balls to do this because I know I'm going to get cyberbullied. I know I'm going to be the next queen of the trolls. But you know what? If it helps people, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So go ahead and say what you want about me, because I really don't care anymore. Life's too short not to do what you want to do with your life. And this is this is something I've been planning on doing forever. And, you know, it's crucial to my happiness. It's crucial to helping other people. So yeah, I definitely want to send this message out. And this is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching the whole thing. If you waited for this whole thing, I will keep following my dreams and keep putting up videos no matter what happens. So thank you so much for supporting me, and always a Kai Barbie girl.